Well, another lost art is storytelling in of itself, and that's one of the most powerful communication tools out there that I think a lot of leaders, they kind of forget about it, or they don't have that skill set. They think, well, someone's a great storyteller, I'm not. I'm just going to communicate the information really dry. If you could give someone a tip on how to tell a great story and how to communicate in a more artful way, what would you tell them?
I think listen to feedback or watch feedback, from a story. Storytelling is interesting because I still do it. I do it. I'm constantly filming things, and we're actually telling stories through cameras. And I think what's worked for us a lot is not taking ourselves too seriously, and there's a lot of humor, and so, which is interesting. No one knew when Duck Dynasty came out. No one knew that it was going to be funny. I'm talking about the network, the production company. No one realized it was going to be funny. They were thinking because if you look at the exterior of me and my family, you thought, oh, these guys are just serious and really in your face, and then. I remember when we filmed the pilots, they were like, this is actually funny. Like, we didn't, and then we found Uncle Si. Like, he's funny.
Solid
and
gold.
So, and so it's like, and I think that helps is when we can laugh. And so the Robertsons we've always used humor, to deal with life, and so when I'm around people that are so serious, it makes me uncomfortable because I'm like, I just have to laugh, and I just want to be like, hey man, it can always be worse, and so we've done that, and I'm glad. That's a gift, and my mother for sure had that, so she was always a laugher, and so we definitely took that as well.
Yeah, humor and storytelling, that's got to be a part of good communication for sure. And you mentioned this, that your father had a vision, and then you kind of carried that torch as you ran the company. How was that vision communicated, and did it change as you kind of took over? Or did you say, I'm 100% on board? Was there any kind of grappling? Because I know with family business and succession and legacy, a lot of emotion around it.
Well, actually, my mom and dad and I are actually partners in our business. And so when I came to them, I guess 20 years ago, it was like, I think I can do this, and they agreed, and I said, I'll put some money in the company, and I said, but I need to be able to make the decisions, and they were like, go ahead. So it's actually a beautiful transition. Communication was so funny, especially my father, because there were some ideas that I had that he thought I had lost my mind. Okay, one was when I said we're not going to have VHS tapes anymore, we're going to go to DVDs for our videos, and he was like, what is a DVD? And I'm like, Dad, they're like way better. Like these are like, you don't have to rewind them. And he was like, well, I still have one. I said, you've got to be the only guy in Louisiana who still has a VHS player. What year was this? I mean,
this was not like 30 years ago.
This was in probably the 90s or early 2000s. Dad was like, you have lost your mind, going to this. So that was one of the ideas. I remember I had this other crazy idea. I wanted to have a website. I said, Dad, I think people are going to go and order products from a computer. And he goes, no. He said, you tell people if they want to order one of our duck calls, they pick up the phone and call, like he wanted that. And I said, Dad, I think times are moving. And so these are some of the crazy ideas that I had to communicate and say, Dad, I think this is kind of going to be it. And so, and some of them I just did. I just said, I'm doing it. And then, and what I find is when you're successful and then when you have successes, that'll breed more confidence, and you'll have better communication because it's like, well, hey, that worked. Hey, this worked. This worked. And so when you stack up enough of those, I remember when I got our first sponsor, people actually pay us to actually wear their clothing, and it blew Dad's mind. He couldn't believe someone would actually, this is like, I guess the influencers, like we were going to influence people to wear clothes. And so, but when I got the check and I was like, hey, Dad, look, this is what we made.
He's listening now.
And he's like, you're brilliant, like that. And then it just started, breeding more and more success. And so he was more open to the communication. So, so it's very important, you've got to listen, I've got to listen, but then I've got to say, hey, I think this will work, and I think these ideas will work. And so, and then you start stacking up successes after successes. And then even Duck Dynasty, even TV, I mean, he was like, nobody's going to watch this. Who would want to watch us on TV? And even I kind of thought, I don't know if we're, I thought we were fairly normal. And then my wife was like, Willie, y'all aren't normal. Like, you're not a normal family. I was like, you think? She was like, you're not normal. And so, so it's listening, it's communicating, and then also listening.